full allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Regarding the board of commission appointments, and our Mayor Freed, is going to be about a half hour late, so I'm going to do a quick roll call. Say aye when I call your name, please. Councilmember Agnew? Aye. Councilmember Evans? Aye. Councilmember Lamb?
Aye.
Councilmember Rayos?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanders?
Aye.
Council, since our mayor will be about 30 minutes late, the protocol manual requires that the council appoint an acting mayor or chairperson to lead the meeting, at least until the mayor arrives, again, which is scheduled to be at 6:30. So staff at this time would invite a motion of a council member to appoint another council member to serve as acting mayor or acting chair until the mayor arrives.
Is this just until the mayor gets here?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And again, he's anticipated to be here at 6:30 this evening. He's traveling at the moment.
Well, we've got one council member who's had a little experience at being a mayor, so I would nominate Mark Lamb to cover the first part of the meeting.
All right, thank you. Is there a second? If no further discussion, invite council members to vote. And we have unanimous vote for acting Mayor Lamb to take over the meeting.
Thank you. So the first item on our agenda then is our meeting agenda approval. I understand from Councilor Sandberg that there is a poetry proclamation, and we're going to delay that until Mayor Freed arrives, which should be in about 25 minutes, because he'd like to personally participate in that. Is there any other proposed changes to tonight's agenda? Councilor Sandberg, you have the floor.
I'd like to add 30 minutes to Agenda Bill 1465, which is appointment to boards and commissions. I'm not sure we'll need it, but there's only 30 minutes there, and so if we have any discussions, we don't go over. And then I'd also like to pull the March 18th minutes and the April 1st minutes.
Okay, so the meetings of minutes of March 18th and April 1st have been pulled. The April 8th minutes will remain, or the April 8th study session minutes will remain on the consent agenda. And without objection, we'll add 30 minutes to the boards and commissions discussion. Is there anything else on tonight's agenda? Anything on the...
Excuse me, Mayor, I forgot to mention that Deputy Mayor Spivey will be participating telephonically for item 8.
Okay, he will. That's correct, Deputy Mayor. So we'll have the protocol followed when Mayor Freed returns in terms of participating telephonically. Anything on the projected agenda? Councilor Evans, you have the floor.
I know we are anticipating a resolution coming back to us concerning a proposed bond issue. And I know the city manager and I talked about it, but I couldn't remember, Bob, when you thought that resolution. I didn't see it on the projected agenda. Do we have a tentative date that might be?
It's actually on the projected agenda on May 6th, item 11.
Oh. Okay.
It's the bond measure is currently being drafted by our bond counsel, and so at this point, the date that we've identified is May 6th. That, of course, is subject to change, but at this time, we've listed it as May 6th.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, anything else on the projected agenda? Councilor Rayum, you have the floor.
I'd like it to be added sometime in the near future to talk about the sign that's been was there for a long time. It's been removed. It's the Bothell for Welcome to Bothell for a day or a lifetime. Thank you. There's been some interest. I've heard some interest in private parties actually refurbishing the sign we have, if we still have it, or maybe even creating a new one. And so I'd be interested to bring that back.
So I don't know if you are aware, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the sign was actually destroyed by the Washington State Department of Transportation when they refurbished when they were doing the new off ramp into the University of Washington Bothell Cascadia. So I guess just to focus the future discussion, it would be on building a replica of that as opposed to refurbishing it, because unfortunately it was destroyed.
Yeah, that was part of why I wanted to talk about it. I've heard potentially it wasn't destroyed, but maybe a whole new one would be a good
That
place
would
to
be an
start.
intriguing wrinkle. If let's, yeah, from your lips to God's ears. Let's hope that's true. Councilor Evans.
And I heard that it was potentially going in the park at Bothell Landing at some point in the future. I think that we've had that report before from the staff. So whether it's a new sign or the old sign or whatever sign, I think that's kind of a location that's been identified as a site to put that sign back in.
That has been the discussion, that a replica, not the original sign, but a replica will be placed in the expanded and new portion of the park at Bothell Landing.
This seems like a good item to discuss, I guess, in the near term. Especially if there's private interest in working with us on it. So
And at least to confirm whether it was in fact destroyed or not, too. We want to get that answered. All right. Anything else on the projected agenda? All right, seeing none, the next item is our visitors section. During this portion of the meeting, we invite citizens to talk with the council about topics that are not scheduled for public testimony on tonight's agenda. Please don't hesitate to use this opportunity to share your views with the council, and we ask that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes. The first speaker on our list is Eric Murray. Mr. Murray, you come forward. We have your address for the record.
Thanks very much. You do, or I should state my address?
No, we do have your address. You've
All right,
already
very
provided
good.
it. So
I'm actually the president of Cascadia Community College. Good evening, council members and members of the staff. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm coming to you today not as a member of the Cascadia Community College staff, but as the chair of the director of the Greater Bothell Chamber of Commerce. And I'm here to give you a periodic update about our activities. Before we begin, rumor has it that that sign may be in our time capsule buried on campus. We open it in 45 years. You guys can take a look at that time if you so desire. Just 4 things to update you about. One, for Chamber of Commerce activities, we have our next general meeting this Thursday, April 24th. That's held monthly at the North Shore Senior Center. You are very welcome to attend. As well, we have a grand opening of a new business. The Chamber of Commerce prides itself on welcoming new businesses to our community. And Teddy's Bigger Burgers is where we'll be on May 10th. And apparently, Mayor Freed has agreed to come to that one to represent the city. I wonder why. But I think free burgers are part of the game plan there. But we appreciate him coming and City Council representing the city at those meetings when we have them, those ribbon cuttings. We also have a luncheon coming up on May 14th. Interesting topic this time around. Kelly Snyder from UW Bothell, myself, and Larry Francois from the North Shore School Districts will be talking about our educational buildings that we've requested and tried to get funded. UW Bothell was successful in getting that building funded. You may have come to the grand opening ceremony last month for that. North Shore School Districts got their bond passed to build a new high school, and unfortunately, Cascadia learned yesterday, and this will be news for some of the Cascadia folks in the audience, that we were not funded for our next building by the community college system. It'll be interesting to talk about how those funding mechanisms differ for each of these 3 agencies and how we get funding for new buildings and allow more students to access education. So that is on May 14th, and I invite you to come hear that. And then lastly, this is the Chamber's 10th anniversary, and our 10th anniversary celebration is at Cascadia on June 18th. It's from 5 to 7 in the evening. We have a lot of vendors. We have a lot of food and wine, and community members come, and we'll be celebrating 10 years of the Greater Bothell Chamber of Commerce, so I invite you to come to that. Thanks very much for your support, and that's our update.
thank you very much. There's nobody else on our sign-up sheet. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak? If you could come forward, give your name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. My name is Marissa Harden, and I'm with Educational Homestay Programs. We're a nonprofit organization, and I just wanted to let you know that this summer there will be 17 Chinese exchange students coming to the city of Bothell, and we are looking for volunteer host families to host the students for 2 to 3 weeks this summer. We'll have them in classes from 8 to 5 during the week, and it'll be held at Park Ridge Community Church. So we're just looking to get the word out and let anyone know and if they're interested.
And we also work with different organizations and stuff. If we can attend your event and try and gain community awareness, we kind of work and donate back to the community and the organization that helps us too. So we're here. We just wanted to say hi and thanks for welcoming us to the city. And we're going to be here for a bit, so we enjoy it.
Thanks. Is there any like website or number that people can call if they're interested?
Yep, we're actually going to leave. We actually have to take off to run to a meeting, but we're going to leave all of our information right outside the door. So please call us at any time or email us, and we can send you some more information for that if you guys are interested.
The Bothell dates are July 16th through August 4th.
All right.
Yep, this summer.
Great, thank you very much. If you could come forward, just give your name and address for the record.
My name is Jeannie Robinson, and I'm here to represent Friends of North Creek Forest. This is really a thank you to Pat Parkhurst and Clark Meek, who've given a lot of city time to put a lot of time into getting grants for the North Creek Forest, and King County Futures grants and land and water grants. And I know tonight you're going to discuss whether to go forward with writing another grant, land and water grant. And I just want to say please do, and thank you so much for the city staff time that's done that so far. We're kind of the poster children for the land and water grant. We've bypassed Seattle Parks and lots of other places to get that grant, so I think we have a good chance. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for your comments. Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to speak? That has brought us to the end of our sign-up sheet. All right, seeing none, we will move to our consent agenda. 2 items have been pulled, which are the minutes of March 18th and April 1st. But a motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda would be in order at this time. Motion by Councilmember Agnew, second by Councilmember Evans, to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the April 8th, 2014 study session, the March 2014 vouchers, approval of the King County Parks Property Tax Levy Agreement, considering an adoption of a resolution authorizing staff to pursue a State of Washington Recreation and Conservation Office grant for the North Creek Forest, considering approval of a purchase of city vehicles through a state bid, and approval of an easement to Puget Sound Energy. Is there any deliberation? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes. Clerk will display the roll, and the motion passes unanimously. Councilmember Sandberg, you have the floor for the items that you pulled under item A.
Thank you. So on March 18th minutes, page 6 of the agenda packet, under the visitor section, the second speaker, Dick Paler, the sentence reads, spoke regarding contaminated soil in the Horse Creek area, and I would like to add the following language, and the need to increase communication with property owners in the area. So the full sentence would read, Dick Paler spoke regarding contaminated soil in the Horse Creek area, and then add, and the need to increase communication with property owners in the area. And the reason why I asked for that change is because I remember that being the gist of his testimony, the most important part.
Is that a motion?
Oh, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second it.
So the mayor's return, there's been a motion and second, a motion by Councilmember Sandberg and a second by Councilmember Rayum to amend the minutes of the meeting of March 18th to reflect the remarks of one of the speakers. If you could restate your motion for the mayor, Councilmember Sandberg.
Sure. So on page 6 of the agenda packet, at the top of the page, section 5, visitors, Dick Paler, I would like to add at the end of that sentence, and the need to increase communication with property owners in the area.
Okay, thank you. Is there any conversation, discussion? Councilmember Evans?
I do recall that the general context of his comments, and I think that was in there. I know also that was either addressed by the city manager or our staff person. I thought someone said, they have received some contact. They'll get more contact as the project gets closer and the bids and that type of thing. So, I guess it's fine to have it in the minutes, but I think it's also needs to be known that we are in contact with those property owners. We have been and we will be much more in the future. But so
You have the right to add that as an amendment to the motion, if you so desire.
Go ahead.
I honestly don't. I thought I heard that either by the city manager or one of the staff people, or maybe I was aware. I thought that was the case. So I'm not sure. So I won't add that. But it's my understanding of what's happening anyway.
Councilmember Lamb.
So I think that the amendment accurately reflects what was said. I think the concern that I have, and we've actually had kind of a difference in the way that our minutes are being recorded of late, is that the minutes typically reflect what is done at a meeting, not what is said at a meeting. So I won't be supporting this, not because I don't think it accurately reflects the totality of the remarks, but just because I think we want to get away from the idea of having the minutes be a blow-by-blow of every comment that was made at the meetings. And for the same reason, I wouldn't support amending staff's response to what was said. I think the minutes should be a reflection of the action of the meeting, and I think that's consistent with our protocol manual. There was also a minor addition. I think it's Sandy Gwynn and not Sandy Quinn that was on a different page. I think I'm not sure if that was the same meeting or it was the March 18th meeting, but that was one that I had noticed in the minutes, but it's a Scrivener's error. I don't know that it needs to be in an amendment, but I won't be supporting the amending motion just because I think the minutes should be a recitation of what was acted on, not necessarily what was said. I think who comes and speaks is relevant. I think memorializing the individual comments of speakers, frankly, including members of council, isn't really the purpose of the meetings, of the minutes.
Okay, any further comment? No, seeing none, then the motion, as I understood, was made by Councilmember Sandberg, seconded by Councilmember Rayum, to pass the meeting minutes as written with the change to the section where it says Dick Paler spoke regarding contaminated soil in the Horse Creek area and the need to increase communication with neighbors?
No.
Okay, can you restate it?
Sure. And the need to increase communication with property owners in the area.
Okay, so that's the motion that's on the floor. If everybody could place their vote. Sorry, I'm getting set up here still. Everybody could place their vote. And if clerk can display. So it does not pass. Councilmember Lamb.
I would move the minutes of March 18th as presented with the change of the speaker's name of Sandy, to correct the Scrivener's error of Sandy Quinn to Sandy Gwynn.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, if everybody could place their vote with that change. Clerk can display. Passes 5-1 with Councilmember Spivey absent and excused. So, Councilmember Lamb, what did you get through prior to my arrival? I imagine roll call.
We got through roll call through the visitor section, and we approved the balance of the consent agenda. Councilmember Sandberg had pulled the minutes of March 18th, which we just voted on, in April 1st, so she still has the floor for April 1st.
Thanks.
So for the April 1st minutes, on page 14 of the agenda packet, under section 8A, new business, I think it is more informative to spell out what MSPT stands for. I remember in our actual agenda bill, it was spelled out what MSPT was. So I think for somebody who's reading the minutes, that gives more clarity. So I'd like that spelled out. I don't know, it's Main Street property something. And then on page 15.
Before you jump from that, just for clarity, I don't know that it is, and usually legal names are legal names as written. If it is a true legal name, we need to reflect that, I would agree. I don't know if Bob knows.
Excuse me, that is the LLC that was established as part of the agreement. their parent company is Main Street Properties, but this is specific to the LLC that was created for that purchase and sale agreement.
Great, thanks. Councilmember Sandberg.
And then on page 15, this is going to be the end of item number 9, where it says vote on amendment. The amendment to move forward with contract negotiations with Cleanscapes passed 5-2, and that is incorrect. It passed 4-3. Councilmember Lamb, Mayor Freed, and Deputy Mayor Spivey dissenting. Then it is correct after that the vote on the underlying motion was then passed 5-2. So I would make that amendment to the minutes.
So for clarity, are you still requesting the change to the LLC, or are you willing to let that stay as the legal name?
If that's the legal name, sure.
Okay, so the one change would be to change the vote on the amendment to 4 versus 3 versus 5-2.
Correct.
So you have a council member Evans second the motion. Is there any discussion? So the motion on the floor is to pass the April 1st minutes.
Wait a minute, the vote was, did we take the vote on that one? Did we clear the board? Or?
Oh, no, we'll do that now. So
I meant to vote in favor. When I looked up there, it said no, so that my vote was in favor of the motion.
okay, so I'm going to call for that motion now. On the April 1st minutes?
Okay.
Yes. So this motion was made by Councilmember Sandberg, second by Councilmember Evans, to move forward with the April 1st minutes as written, with the change on page 15 to move change the number from 5-2 in the amendment from 4-3. So if you can place your vote. And the clerk can display. Passes unanimously. So my understanding with all that's been addressed this evening, we would move on then to contracts and agreements. Item AB 1464, to consider approval of an interlocal agreement with the North Shore School District relating to environmental remediation. Steve, nice to see you this evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members. Before you this evening is an interlocal agreement with the North Shore School District regarding environmental remediation on Lot O. If you look on the map here, Lot O is the former bus barn site that the city currently owns and is marketing. And Mercury Holdings is a couple parcels just to the south of that. The city will shortly request bids for cleanup on the Lot O site. This is the result of the city working with the Department of Ecology toward getting a property-specific no further action designation that would facilitate the sale of the property. One aspect of this cleanup is to get to a wedge of contaminated soil along the south property line. Right over here. Back in 2010, when we did the bulk of the contamination cleanup, we dug quite a bit of soil, but we couldn't get close to that fence without encroaching on the property to the south, which at the time we didn't have permission to get on. So the current plan would be to get on that parcel, or be able to cross the parcel line such that we can dig out that last wedge of contaminated soil on our property. It also contains a couple other locations that we've been working with Ecology that they want us to address on the parcel as well. The North Shore School District approached the city since they intend to move forward with remediation on the south side of the property line. And it became apparent that this would benefit both agencies because we could share some of the costs. In other words, if we crossed over the property line, we would probably have to dig some anyway just to get to our clean soil. If they need to clean up the soil on the south side, they can pay for that part. So we're kind of sharing some of the costs, including restoration of some of the impacts to driveway or plants and fencing and that sort of thing. So the ILA was drafted and a work plan put together to give a framework for which the two agencies can work together on this project. The North Shore School Board is anticipated to address the interlocal agreement on their May 13th meeting. A council member brought up an excellent question on why we're only addressing gasoline contamination and not diesel in this ILA. And essentially what it is with all the analysis and sampling that has been done, gasoline is really only present on that site over there. Some of the other locations on Lot O, which we will do independently of the school district, we will test for diesel as necessary if it was adjacent to a diesel tank that was found there. So at that time, I would open it up for any questions.
Great, thank you, Steve. I appreciate the presentation. Just looking, are there any questions from council at this point? Yeah, Councilmember Rayam.
So, Steve, you mentioned that we already went out there and excavated on the Lot O side of that
Correct.
wedge or triangle, rectangle. And so now we're going back and doing that again. And I guess obviously crossing the property line. Is that the...
Yeah, if you can imagine in 3D, you have a fence between the two property lines, and we can, we're digging a hole that's about 8 to 10 feet deep. We can't dig a vertical line under that fence. We had to kind of wedge it back. So there's a little, 8 feet deep triangular piece along here that we couldn't quite get to. It's not very much soil, it's just that we couldn't get to it. And it's technically on the property, so we have to go and clean that up. And to do that, we have to cross the fence, and there's a fence there that belongs to somebody else, and there's some plants in the driveway that when we're digging, we may impact. So we had to get their permission to get on to do that.
So we were planning on going out there anyways to do additional clean soil removal, not in the location we already been to, or is it in addition to?
Well, you can kind of see that little hatch line there. It looks like a stream. This line here. That's where we've dug already. So we're really within about 8 feet of the fence. And again, it's the only piece we couldn't get to because we knew if we tried to dig it, something would happen to the fence or we would go into the adjacent private property, which we couldn't do. So we knew we would have to come back if that was an issue with ecology. To get a no further action, they want all the contaminated soil that has been identified cleaned up on the parcel. So that's kind of one of the remaining pieces. There's a couple other small pieces there that we got hits when we did, again, agreed upon with ecology, further analysis and sampling. And those are the two sites they want us to dig a little bit and clean up. And then what we'll do is we'll start monitoring on our monitoring wells and try to get 4 quarters, they call it, of clean results on the groundwater, and then they would issue a no further action for that property itself.
So does Lot O go down to the additional location to the, I guess it's the south, very southern part there?
So Lot O is, the border of Lot O is this border right here.
Okay.
And it actually goes to the north as well, but the north site, we're already starting the monitoring. We think we've got everything on that site.
And can you point to where the fuel tanks were located when the bus barn was there?
Fuel tanks are located right here.
Okay. Okay, and then I just had one other comment. I don't know if geoengineers is obviously the school district's consultant, but their maps
Yeah.
were pretty rough to try to interpret in the packet. So
Sure.
that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Councilmember. Anyone else? Great, well, we do have an action item before us this evening. Is there anybody willing to make a motion?
I move to approve the recommended action.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Lamb and a second by Councilmember Agnew. Is there any discussion on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, if everybody could place their vote. And the clerk display passes unanimously with Councilmember Deputy Mayor Spivey absent and excused. I'm going to take a little detour on our agenda item tonight. We do have one more item at 6:55, which we will most likely wait for that time. But I would like to take the opportunity to read a proclamation, if I may. So this is a proclamation of the National Poetry Month, and I believe we do have some representatives here today. So I'm going to read this, and I'll come down and hand it off to you. All right. So this is a City of Bothell proclamation for National Poetry Month. Whereas the Academy of American Poets established the month of April as National Poetry Month in 1996, and whereas the National Poetry Month seeks to highlight the extraordinary legacy and ongoing achievement of American poets, introduce Americans to the pleasures and benefits of reading poetry, bringing poets and poetry to the public in immediate and innovative ways, make poetry an important part of our children's education. And whereas National Poetry Month, under the leadership and direction of the Academy of American Poets, is now the largest literary celebration in the world. And whereas poetry enhances and enriches the lives of all Americans. And whereas poetry, as an essential part of the arts and humanities, affects every aspect of life in America today, including education, the economy, and community pride and development. And whereas poetry has produced some of the nation's leading creative artists and has inspired other artists in fields such as music, theater, film, dance, and the visual arts. Now therefore, I, Joshua Freed, Mayor of Bothell, do hereby proclaim April 1st through April 30th as National Poetry Month. I call upon public officials, educators, librarians, and all people of the Bothell to observe this month to celebrate the cultural riches of our community has to offer and to recognize the important role poetry has in creating and sustaining this great nation. We appreciate ceremonies, activities, and programs. In witness thereof, I hereto set my hand as April 22nd, 2014. I'll come down and hand this to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. One of my goals is, as an educator at Cascadia Community College, I teach poetry, is to make poetry part of the civic life, to get it out of the classroom and into the public. And this gesture is one step toward that. And I have a student here from my class today, Nicole McKnight, and we just finished writing poems in class about where we're from. So I think poems about place are powerful and are poems that anyone can write and I think identify with. And Nicole is willing to share her poem for you. So.
Hello.
Hello, Nicole.
Can you hear me? Yeah, good. Okay. Hi, I'm Nicole. Okay, my poem is an I'm from poem, and here we go. I'm from spending all day preparing for tea parties in the afternoon, from mac and cheese with hot dogs, don't forget to bring a coat, and bubble gum. I'm from strawberries, I'm from baby tomatoes, I'm from blackberries, I'm from apples, all grown in my parents' garden. I'm from kiss kiss, meaning I love you, otter pops, and dress up. I'm from comfort in the faint smell of Maverick Menthol 100s, video games, swings, water balloon fights, and using the hoses cheating. I'm from the smell of coffee, shops on the weekends, macchiato, frappuccino, and latte. I'm from God is love, how come God can forgive you and people can't, arms of worship, Bible study, and passion. I'm from Friends theme music, Monica Chandler, Ross, Joey, Rachel, and Phoebe. I'm from tucking people in, saying goodnight, bedtime kisses, bedtime stories, and mom falling asleep on the kitchen table. I'm from dancers only need to know how to count to 10, ballet class, tap class, jazz class, and 5, 6, 7, 8.
Great. Thank you very much.
And I'd also like to say that Thursday is Poem in Your Pocket Day. So as part of Poetry Month, what we encourage is people from all sort of businesses, schools, all kinds of sort of workplaces or community centers to bring a poem with you to work that day and share it with the people around you. And maybe they'll be doing the same. So thank you so much, and I appreciate you giving us this time for poetry. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, sir, and thank you for coming out this evening as well. Absolutely. That's great. So the next item on our agenda is 1465. We do have the deputy mayor joining us via phone so he can put his votes in. So what we're going to do is probably take a 15-minute break and make sure that we can dial them in, and we'll adjourn for the time being. Thank you. Great. Welcome back. We are jumping into AB 1465, which is to consider appointments to advisory boards and commissions. We had an opportunity last time we were together to meet several people from our community who applied for several different boards. So it's our honor tonight to be able to appoint some of those people who expressed interest. And to jump into something here, we have, I just want to confirm, Dell, you are there, correct? Okay, so let the record reflect that Deputy Mayor Spivey is attending via speakerphone for agenda item 1465 relating to considered of appointments to advisory boards and commissions. Deputy Mayor Spivey will attempt to cast his ballot vote for each commission position via email to the city clerk. You guys have already connected? All right. If he is unable to cast his vote electronically via email, he will cast a verbal vote for each appointment. We won't make you do it first. We'll just kind of wait. Let's see. Deputy Mayor Spivey, can you hear me? And I believe that you did already confirm that. Let the record reflect that Deputy Mayor Spivey, who is attending via speakerphone, can be heard by all present in the council chambers. Is that right? Did people hear him? All the way back there, Pat. Upon conclusion of the particular agenda item, the mayor should state, that would be the Deputy Mayor Spivey discussion on agenda 1465 has concluded. So I will do that at the end of our conversation. So, Councilmember Sandberg, you did ask for a point of privilege in regards to this item?
I wasn't sure what order you were going to take the elections of the different boards and commissions, but I would like to recommend considering the nominations for Planning Commission first, because we had several candidates give first and second, third choices, and so if we are not able to appoint somebody to their first choice, that would give us an opportunity to consider them for another position. And it looks like, for example, the Landmark Preservation Board only has one candidate and 2 openings. So if we did the Planning Commission first or near the top, that would give us the opportunity to consider those applicants for other positions.
Mm-hmm. Anybody have comment on that? No comment? Another comment. Do you want to make comment, Deputy Evan? Or sorry, I'm out of it. I just flew in from Montana just 30 minutes ago, so I'm still not present. Councilmember Evan.
I would like to recommend on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, there's 4 applicants, and they're very qualified. They're the only 4, so I would recommend we just cast a unanimous ballot for those 4 and move that one on.
I would move that at this time.
Second.
Quick question, though. One of the vacancies is only a partial term, so do we need to identify which applicant for the partial term?
Yes.
And I don't remember asking anybody if they had a preference for partial or full term.
Deputy, let's see. Let me just look at my notes just for a second. I have.
The partial is a
definitely does not
business
say.
rep, so it would be, there's only one person who would be qualified. If you were.
So there's, the first one's Carly Hamilton, and she is the GM for Residence Inn. And then there's Katie Sharrow, and I'm looking at Country Village in Bothell.
So I would move, Mr. Mayor, to appoint Chip Peterson to a full term, Shauna Pitts to a full term, Katie Sharrow to a full term, and Carly Hamilton to the partial term.
Any discussion? All right, seeing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't hear anything from the deputy mayor. Okay. So there are your appointments. Hopefully you got that written down. I'm not opposed to jumping into the Planning Commission to discuss who we would vote for in that. So I would open it up to the floor to be able to let people speak if they so desire on who they may want to vote for, or otherwise we'll just jump into a vote. Let me give you all 30 seconds, or if you want to speak, then that gives everybody an opportunity to look through their notes. Councilmember Sandberg.
So when we did the interviews, I asked every incumbent sort of the same question, which was, was there something that you're particularly proud of in your previous term on your board or commission, or anything that was interesting or stood out to you? And the reason why is because I see that there is a balance between staying with an incumbent who has an experience and skill set to bring to the position, balancing that with the desire to include new community members in in decision-making processes in the city. So I asked every incumbent for any of the boards that question, and I'm going to be supporting Mike Stahl.
Hello, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Mayor Freed?
Say yes.
Yeah, can you hear me? Is this on? It is on.
Can you hear him? He's responding to you, Dale.
Mayor Freed?
Dale, can you hear me? We could just try him back one more time.
Dale, I'm going to hang up and we're going to try you again.
You can keep on going.
Okay. Because I thought that Mike had a really good answer when I asked him, what are some of the accomplishments that you're really proud of, and I thought that was really compelling. I saw that that experience and skill set coming through. So I'm going to be supporting Mike Stahl.
Okay.
Dale, can you hear me?
I can. It's getting to be very broken. I'm only catching about every third word of what people said.
Okay, I'm going to hand this up to the mayor, and hopefully you'll see you can get the dais a little bit better.
Can you hear me now, Dale?
I can.
Okay, great. We're putting you right up in front and center.
All right.
So,
Member Sandberg is just saying who she's voting for, and so far she's supporting an incumbent Mike Stahl.
And unfortunately, I didn't get that same impression either through the interview materials or the application, the written application, with the other incumbent. And so I feel like that's a good opportunity to give another community member the opportunity to serve their community. And it was my opinion in looking at the applications and the things that were said that David Vliet brought a good experience and background and interest to the position. So I will be supporting him.
Perfect, thank you. Anybody else have a desire to make comment? Councilmember Evans?
Well, I do support Mike Stahl as an incumbent being reappointed. And I did talk with some folks about Sam and the fact that he is new on the board. I think he's been serving, 3 months or so. And he is quiet, I think, and he's learning. And what I heard from people I talked with was that he's quiet, but when he does ask a question, he is concerned and wants to know what's there and understand it. So the impression I got was, while he's fairly new on the board and still has a lot to learn, that he is working to learn those things and contributing where he can, that he feels qualified to. So, he is an incumbent that is been there a short time, but he is working to try to get better at that, and I'm sure he will over the time. We have a lot of good applicants there. But I just wanted to give that input back, that some of the people I talked to recognized that he was new and learning, but he was learning and moving along. So.
Anything else? Okay, so I'm going to be voting for Mike Stahl, and he is an incumbent, and from my understanding from the board chair, he's done a good job and has been involved. My other vote will be for Eric Clark for Planning Commission position, he's here with us this evening. He had a great amount of experience that he shared with all of us as we sat down at the table on the ground. And I think somebody with that type of experience, as we're approaching a lot of important issues that are coming before us this year, would be a great contribution to the city of Bothell and where we're heading. So David Vliet also applied, and I would like to support him. And I asked during the interview and also since then, in the last week, whether he would have interest in serving on a different board, on Landmark Preservation Board. So I would like to see that he does get on a board or commission within the city, and that would be where I'd like to see him serve, and he was open to it as well. So hopefully Mike and Eric move forward, and we can then move on to Landmark Preservation Board. Either of you have any comments?
I don't.
Deputy Mayor Spivey, do you have any comments?
No. good right now.
Okay, so for the first round, if everybody just puts a check mark or however you want to mark it, fill in the box next to two names, and then these will be collected and tallied. And since there are a couple people that may be on other boards, I think we should just take a pause until the votes are counted.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that one's, well, did other people apply? Let me just quickly check. And I didn't show up, that's right. Roger Corbin. Why didn't that show up on here? City Clerk, just to confirm, did Roger Corbin withdraw his name from the Parks and Recreation Board? Okay. Roger Cecil's still on there. There's a Corbin that. Okay. Councilmember Agnew pointed out that we could move forward potentially on the Parks and Recreation Board because we do have 3 names and 3 full terms. Would that be of interest for folks right now? Councilmember Evans?
And I would just like to comment on that because I see June Klubeck's name was on another one of our ballots, but I guess on the library board. But I would, her first choice was the Parks and Recreation Board, and I was very impressed with her resume, and would recommend that on that I would recommend that the 2 incumbents be re-nominated, and that June be the fill in the 3rd position.
I would second that motion.
We have a first, second, third, and fourth motions on that. So the first was by Councilmember Evans, second by Councilmember Lamb, to move forward with as written here, which would be Roger Cecil, Rhonda, and June for the 3 full terms. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, if everybody could vote or say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Deputy Mayor Spivey, are you in favor of that motion?
Can you restate it, please?
The motion was there's Park and Recreation Board, 3 full terms. We have 3 names of which it was their first choice. One is Roger Cecil, an incumbent. Rhonda Sabir.
Rhonda Cyberdon?
Well, thank you very much. An incumbent. And then June Klobeck was her first choice.
I support that.
All right, so that was a unanimous vote with nobody in the negative. All right, I have a tally of the votes here. We have Mike Stahl, congratulations, and thank you for your service. You have 4 more years. Then we have a split between Eric Clark and David Vliet. So both of them got 3 votes. So what we'll do is vote on those 2, either Eric Clark or David Vliet, on our second round. Pardon? Oh, yeah. Did you get Dell's vote via email?
He did.
He did. Okay. Okay. So that's, again, Eric Clark or David Vliet, and I will be supporting Eric Clark, and I hope you will as well. Let me look for my second round. All right. Well, there was a vote also for Sam.
Oh, okay.
All right. In the meantime, we do have, well, actually, we have to wait. I'm looking at library board. There's 2 full terms, and we only have 1 applicant. Oh, I'm so sorry. Can everybody help me recall whether we did have expression from another person regarding library board? I know we did.
Dotson. That was his 3rd choice. Yeah, he withdrew.
Walker Dotson on library board.
He withdrew.
Third choice.
He withdrew.
He withdrew his application.
Okay.
And June was just voted in.
She just got on the board.
Yep. So. So there's only one, actually, and we do? I don't see her now. Well, at this point, we only have one true applicant for library board. So if everybody could place their vote.
Are we doing library board now?
Do library board.
I would nominate that I would ask that we include Nadia Mustafa for the library board as well.
If she's so willing.
If she's willing to accept.
I would second that.
Okay.
Can we ask if...
Sure, let's just take a 60-second break while we tally the votes from the prior vote and see if she's interested in serving on the library board.
Right.
Yes, Councilmember Evans.
She did, on Nadia's application, she did mark Planning Commission and Parks and Recreation Board, but she did say that she would be willing to serve on a different board if interested.
Okay.
She did mark yes on that.
Well, hopefully in another 20 seconds, we'll have Councilmember Sandberg come back in and let us know.
Do you want to announce the results?
Do I want her to be here? Well, Councilmember Sandberg's not back, but I said 60 seconds, so I'll just jump into it. We do have a vote that has been tallied for the Planning Commission's second position, and that would be for Eric Clark. David, thank you so much for your interest, sir. I hope to have you on the board coming up. So congratulations, Eric, to 4 years serving the city. Thank you so much for your interest. Really appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, if it would be timely, I'd like to nominate Victoria Sampi and David Veet to the Landmark Preservation Board.
Is there any discussion on that matter? Seeing none. Are all in favor of appointing Victoria Sampi and David Veet to the Landmark Preservation Board? If so, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Deputy Mayor Spivey, do you have a vote?
He said
an aye. So that's 6 ayes, and Councilmember Sandberg is absent and excused currently. But actually, would her vote be counted in the affirmative per? No. Okay.
All right.
Because she left. All right. Good. So, David, thank you so much. You're on Landmark Preservation Board, and we're still waiting on the library board. Well, we already voted for David to go on the Landmark Preservation Board and Victoria Sampi. And it was 6-0 in the affirmative.
Then you could add my one to that.
Perfectly fine to add yours to that count.
Thank
so you have the full support of council, David.
And Nadia Mustafa has indicated that she would like to be considered for the library board.
So I will restate my motion to appoint Sarah Clarum and Nadia Mustafa to the library board.
Second. Is there any discussion? So there's been a motion and a second to appoint Sarah and Nadia to the library board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, so it passes unanimously. That completes our appointments to planning commissions. Don't believe we have an executive committee. Are there any other items anybody wishes to discuss this evening? Then we are adjourned.